In the year of 2013, 539,576 children were neglected. What type of effect does this have on our nation? Many times people associate neglect with abuse. However, they are two very different topics. Child neglect, according to the American Humane Association, is a type of maltreatment that refers to the failure by the caregiver to provide needs of age-appropriate care, although financially able to do so, or offered financial or other means to do so. According to the Invitation to the Lifespan Psychology book, child neglect is also defined as the failure to meet a child's basic needs, which consist of physical, emotional, and educational. The two main types of neglect that we are going to examine are physical and emotional. Physical neglect is when a parent does not give the basic necessities of life. According to the American Humane Association, these necessities consist of adequate food, clothing, and shelter. So what this can look like is when a child is being left alone by themselves, like in Etched in Sand, Cookie leaves the kids just by themselves. If a child looks like they are having poor physical, like their body is just not nourished enough, and if they're living in unsanitary or poor conditions. Emotional neglect can come in many different forms. Not providing a child with the psychological need is the most basis of the definition. This can mean withholding an affection, ignoring a child, involving them to allow use of drugs or alcohol, verbally assaulting them, terrorizing them, constantly belittling them, and many other forms. The lack of food and attention that one can receive is going to affect their psychological and cognitive development. According to the Harvard University, children who experience significantly limited caregiver responses, children have cognitive delays, stunting of physical growth, and increased risk for anxiety. A lack of food can have many different effects on the children, so they can be very tired, they can just look very sick, or they can even in the future they can form eating disorders because when they're at a young age, if they don't get the nutrition that they need, then their body will have difficulties later on in life learning how to process food. A child's brain size can also be affected because when they're not given the attention that they need at a young age, the synapses that are needed to form do not form, and so the brain size actually becomes smaller, and this also can have an effect on their behavior. According to the Encyclopedia of Mental Disorders, the child's development will not follow the normal and usual patterns. The lack of synapses that don't form when a child is not given attention can not only affect their growth of their size, but it also is able to, if certain areas aren't formed, then they can have difficulties with understanding the differences between right and wrong, and even criminal activity and behavior. And if they also get into alcohol and drugs at a young age, then that is also considered to proceed throughout the years. Their academics is also affected. If you're neglected, your brain obviously has those synapses that are less likely to form, and you're very tired a lot. Harvard University says that poor achievement, poor reading skills, and harder to pay attention are some of the symptoms of children who are being neglected. So in 2005, the physical abuse and sexual abuse and all other types of abuse were obviously a lot lower than the neglect rate. Neglect is often the major sign and major component of abuse and neglect reporting statistics. However, neglect is not referred to or mentioned as much in the media. In 2013, I have a statistic list of all the different states and the amount of children that are neglected. up to be 539,576 children that were neglected in just the year of 2013. Child neglect can obviously have many different effects on the development and how they achieve their different areas in different life, in their future, and also then in the present. In 2014, every 47 seconds, a child was confirmed neglected or abused.